Yo, Devil. Welcome, welcome. Okay, I think YouTube is back. Good, it's back. All right. So for all the YouTube peeps, we had a blackout. Sad to say, but we're gonna go straight to the painting. We're gonna be ditching the. Yeah, it is working. Yes, yes. Let me double check if it posted the second time now. Yeah, it did. It did post the second time, which is good. All right. So let's get right down to business. First things first, we're gonna be doing some mixing colors. What I want right now is a bit of gray. We're gonna go for a light gray. There's a reason for that. Um, my white, this white is starting to seem a little thin, but I want the Corvax white. I hope I still have some left over. This is still alive, I think. Let me grab a brush to try and see if how much of it is alive. Okay, a lot of it is still alive. I need to mix it a bit. Right. I'm gonna turn it. Oh, I see. Oh my huge amount of brushes out of the way there. The rest of it on the clean sheet here. To be honest, I may have to like. Oh, I think I may have to replace my water because it's filled with white. All right, I'll be right back. Give me a moment. All right, I'm back. And to answer your question, Devil, it's been good so far. I was mostly excited for the whole day to, especially for this event right here, because it's been a while since we actually did some painting, some serious painting vibes, right? So I am super stoked to get in right into this. So I'm going for a lighter gray. For what I'm about to do next. Now you see, the reason why I want to be going for this certain color is because the major color we're going to be using for the armor is white. But the thing is, like when you're doing pure colors, pure shades of white and or like black, you can't use all black or all white. So, for example, to see on the main cam, wait, there we go. Let me zoom up because I did not realize that we're not getting any film anything on that. So now I've gotten everything. I've gotten everything primed with black. You can see here. Let's Zoom in. There we go. Better. So everything is now primed and ready to be painted. So when you prime your models, you're basically prepping them for like basically painting, because if you don't prime your models, first off, your tone, like the painting tones are going to be way off. You're not going to achieve the exact colors that you want. So that's why I decided we're going to go for, I'm always going for darker tones. So that's why I chose black. Now for this next step though, what we're going to try and achieve now is the lighting for the models. Is like which parts are going to be quote unquote visible, where the light is going to hit our models. And the specific technique I use is called zenithal shading. Ooh, this brush is for some reason hard as heck, but I don't think I'll be using this one. I'll use the middle, medium one. This is the actually missing a brush. I'll find it later, but this one will do. This is what I need anyway. So to do this zenithal shading, right? We're gonna push this back here, or maybe. All right. Um, you know what? For the meantime, let's put the light away because we're gonna be focusing on the models and the painting. I'm just looking for a good place to put the light, because it's kind of annoying where it is right now. I did that. I bring the camera down. There we go. So it's now even level with the light. So first off, get a bit of dab of paint here. And I try to get the excess onto our dummy here. So I'm just gonna scrape off all the excess paint before I actually get onto the model. So let's take our cremator here and just run the brush gently. Oop. Okay, not so gently. Gently, gentle. Gently and generously on the model. Okay. So as I'm doing this, you'll begin to see that the edges are the ones being hit by the brush and not everything. So there are still some areas that are still black. Without completely covering the model in gray. But you start to feel the depth in the model. I'm just using these circular strokes so I can hit all the lightened areas. Okay. So now right? Just to give you a comparison. So this is the model before. This is the model after. So you can notice the big difference between them. So this one definitely has some areas that are darkened. They're still remaining dark, but the rest is like highlighted. So usually what happens after this step is that people will start to like throw in contrast paint, which is way thinner than the base paint, and it will basically it's what the difference is that it's like the paint contrast paint is somewhat more thinner than base paint. So what happens is this all these parts that are colored in gray will start to push that color out, and you can go brighter and brighter as it goes. But what I do is I use all of these highlighting and everything as a guide for my coloring. It helps me determine which areas I need to put more brighter colors and which areas I should leave dark, or if not, I put darker shades. Right, so we're not quite done yet. I still see some areas that need a little bit more application, like the back of the head here. Just need to keep at it. There's also a little bit underneath here, though I don't necessarily need to apply a lot because after all, light's not gonna be shining underneath the arms or the skirt. So I'm expecting light to be just on top for the most part. So when I start applying some certain colors, the gray will actually press those out. In fact, I usually use white, so it's even brighter, right? So let's zoom out. This one is basically done. We're gonna move on to the next one. me pop out chat really quick because I want it nice and wide so I can see it from here. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Okay, much better. So the one downside of this technique is that there are areas like behind the shield I won't be able to get to. That's the unfortunate bit. So for some people, what they do is they actually paint it before they assemble it, or at least complete the assembly. But personally, I rather just assemble the whole model, like right off the bat, and just paint whatever I can. Anyways, like if I always focus on the parts that I want to make visible. Anything that is visible, I focus on those parts instead of like trying to go so heavy onto the detail that I feel I'm like a some kind of crazy painter, but I'm not exactly like those people who participate in Golden Demon contests. So I'm not a Golden Demon painter, nor do I really strive that hard to be. It's not a goal. After all, at the end of the day, this is just a hobby, and I want to enjoy doing my hobby. Some people do enjoy doing the competitions and stuff, but I personally don't. So that's why I'm not gonna push myself hard just to win a decoration for a shelf. Yeah, K Fry, welcome to the stream, man. Yeah, I managed to get my power back. So all good, well and good. You still streaming or have you wrapped up for the night? Nice, nice, nice. Well, if you are about to head to bed, at least hopefully you can stick around for a bit. We'll chill out with some gothic music while we get these Sisters of Battle assembled and, or rather, painted. Sorry, I already assembled them. All right, too much paint. Fine. That is okay. 'Cause in painting, as my favorite media painter used to say, there isn't there's no such thing as mistakes in painting. Just happy little accidents. I think I'm gonna pull out the other brush because I want to get to that one part in the chest. Okay. So for those of you in YouTube, unfortunately, you will not be able to hear the music that's going on in the background right now. So while you are watching the VOD, I would highly recommend you pop yourself some what classical music and sit back, relax while I give some commentary as I am doing processing the sisters here. So again, we don't want too much paint on the model. We don't want to make the same mistake as we just did previously. Just want a generous amount. Just so we can hit those nice open surfaces. As well as all of the details on the model. Those nice juicy details. Like any good story, you always want those nice juicy details. And every painting and every model that you see always has a story to tell. But it can only tell that story if you got nice juicy details. That's what makes a story good. That's what makes a painting good. So that is why we always get down to the nice juicy details. We gotta fit the vibe, man. We're painting an epic franchise, so there's gotta be epic music in the background. No? Oops. Alright, I'm gonna adjust the position really quick because the mic is getting hit by brush and I don't like that. That is one happy accident I don't want to have because that's gonna affect everybody on stream, listening onto the stream. All right. Also, welcome, Kit. Welcome, welcome. Glad you're finally here to see this. Let's finally see how I achieve my juicy details. Gotta love the juicy details. Maybe one of these days I'll invite a couple of people onto the like we go to a voice chat or something, pick a topic we can chat about while I do this. Do some lore dumping or maybe talk about the board game that this these models are meant to be played in, just what are their abilities and stuff. I've been having a look at their abilities by the way, and they're crazy. They're crazy. And it's on theme. It's on theme with them because they're like fanatics and stuff. So their like main mechanic is centered around being inspired. So in order to get inspiration for these characters for these units, they either need to charge at an enemy unit or one of them dies. And there when one of them dies, you'd think like, "Oh no, I lost the unit." But no. What happens when one of them dies? You can choose to give one of your other units that are alive a permanent buff or recover some health. So if you have an injured member in the team, you can always like, "Oh, I'm just going to heal this person." Instead, their sacrifice the one of my members' sacrifices will not be in vain because this other one is going to stay alive longer for the fight. Or you can buff their damage, or you can uh, make it so that they can stay in the fight longer, right? So many different buffs that you can put on them, which is crazy and on theme, right? I want you guys to have a nice look while we catch some of those this small bits over here. I could not get it with the other brush because it's too big. There we go. So just to let you see, Cat, look at the difference, right? Between a model that hasn't had this effect and then another model who has the effect. So for me to complete one whole model, if I let's say I focused on one entire model, it would take me about 4 hours to do one. But I've learned how to sort of pace myself with the painting, especially when it comes to bulk painting. So I can complete this whole squad in maybe a similar amount of time, depending on like the details and stuff. Because there's some models with so much detail that it eats up most of my time. Like one model could eat up a lot of my time all at once. So what I do is I tend to save those models for last if I'm working on a lot of details on them, depending. Depends. Because what I do is I paint by color. I don't paint by model my model because it's tiring to having to always constantly mix the colors. So let's say you mix one set of colors, right? And you finish one model, right? And let's say you've already run out of those colors. And then so now you have to make a whole new batch of colors again. So this is a dry brush, spammy, right here. This one has a I think horsehair. I don't quite remember. This one, what it does, it actually does not like being wet because that's why it's called dry brushing. So most of the time you're dealing with dry paint onto the brush. Not too wet, but it's not entirely like soaked in whatever medium you're using, but just enough so that you can spread some paint onto the model. Now, I think I'm running out of the colors I just placed onto this map here. But I think I will have enough to actually get this thing colored properly. Okay, want to need the other brush? How much base? How much do you do much base on the model decorations like grass? Okay, so I do, but one cheatsy doodle that I learned is that you can actually just use actual soil for your base, so you don't have to overcomplicate things. So you just get your regular like Elmer's glue or your craft glue and just spread it all over the base. Then you take a small bin of soil and just dunk it. Just let it bathe in that soil and then pull it out. And then after it dries, you layer another coat of glue again to basically seal the model or seal the ground so it does not flake off. And then from there like you can either just leave it as it is depending on what kind of dirt and what your look you're trying to achieve, or you can just, since there's already a layer of glue over the soil already, so you can use that to just paint over it. So that's how I was able to achieve some of the effects on my models, especially the soil. So you saw that there was like I painted over it basically with green and all that. So yeah, makes it so much easier. Saves me time. I don't have to work that hard for the base effects. Other people, they like to pull out the cork board, they pull out all the different kinds of paint that you can use. Okay. I think that is more than enough. That's a generous amount. I think I want to do this one again. This time get into the finer details again. Because I don't think I got into it enough. I believe this is the first Space Marine game soundtrack that you're listening to, or you were listening to just a while ago. Love that game. Love the first game, love the second game. Soundtracks were amazing in both games. I'll go back to the Denuncia again. So, fun fact, this unit right here, this is the Denuncia, the Insidiant Denuncia. And her special ability is that she gets to scream at people. And it actually deals damage. Like, bro, wait, let me pull up the stat sheet. Let me pull up the stat sheet right now. Okay. Where is it? Where are you? There you are. Let me read her stat sheet. I wish I could display it right now, but it would be too much work just for that. So I'll just read out for you. So the Insidiant Denuncia, she has two weapons, right? Let me pull the. Oh, there we go. Just want to be sure that she's on display in the camera. Her first weapon is the Voice of Condemnation, which, funny enough, it's not a very effective attack. It deals only one damage, but it has the ability to, of course, because she's using her voice, it goes through cover, so she'll basically hit anything that she sees, but she can stun, which is great. You think you like stun in the board game basically means they get to do one less action, and a lot of units actually can only perform two actions unless they're like Space Marines, then they can do three, but most units they use only two actions. So having a unit that can basically turn the two actions into one action is crazy. And it's a 6-inch range, and whenever, well, I'm reading like one of her other abilities, which is whenever she does her ability, or no, whenever she's inspired, then she can basically make you spend less on a certain strategy that you can play in the game. But she has another ability, which is Speak of Her Deeds. Select an inspiring, friendly Celestial Insidiant operative visible to and within 6 inches of this operative. This operative is no longer that operative is no longer inspiring. Then select another blah 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 blah. Okay, operative within 6 inches. Resolve one benediction from Martyrdom faction rule on that operative. Okay, so basically, okay, that's crazy. That means that she can basically permanently buff different units as long as she is inspired. So she's like passing her inspiration and then basically buffing another person permanently. Or she can heal somebody with it. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy, dude. I'm excited to actually play these characters on the board. Get them on the board already. I'm super excited. I hope I don't take too long doing this paint job now. Okay, there's too much paint. Ooh. What I will do is just spread it all around. So basically, Cat, that ability that I just mentioned from the screaming lady, basically she remember when I said that they get buffs if they die? The screaming lady can just basically give those same buffs without having someone to die. The only like downside is that it's a 6-inch range. So if I were to really be tactical about it, if I want to be smart about it, I would use an item or something that would increase the range of that, which there is. It increases the range from 6 inches to 9 inches, which in hindsight, you wouldn't really understand that much unless I actually demonstrate it on the board. 9 inches is quite a lot, not gonna lie. 6 inches is already a lot, but 9 inches is a lot. You can cover basically almost half the board with it, with that kind of range. Still though, that would only mean that the screaming lady would just be stationary, which is not ideal, especially when you're playing this team, which is somewhat hyper aggressive, because they benefit when they lose members over like keeping members alive. You can try and keep certain members alive, and so that you can buff them, but otherwise, you want to throw bodies at your enemies so that the rest of them can get stronger. Another crazy thing about them is that they're basically anti-demon, anti-chaos, and that is like a permanent buff for them. Everything in their kit is specifically specialized to fight chaos and demons. So if I'm fighting anyone from the chaos faction, they're gonna have a bad time. Because my weapons deal extra damage to demons and chaos. Yes, they are. There are people that do play chaos. One of the more popular, actually, there are two popular factions, which are the Chaos Cultists and the Plague Marines, the Sicko Boys. They are currently like the hot the hot teams. They're the ones like the meta teams, kind of. Not really meta, but they're very strong teams. If anything, any new team, which includes these ones, are like the meta teams, I think, because they are ridiculously strong. But that's usually the case, yeah. Plague Marines are the war. No, those are Rubric Marines. The Rubric Marines, like if you're into the lore, and you shouldn't like one of the key things you should know are the four Chaos Gods, which are Korn, Nurgle, Zinch, and Slanesh. So last night, the Marines that I was fighting against were the servants of Zinch. I mean, even Nurgle's servants also have tentacles growing out of certain places. So tentacles is like very general for chaos. And the also Slanesh. Yes, because I say certain places because there is Slanesh, who is the basically the chaos god of pleasure and pain and pleasure. So they get their kink. They're the they're the kink people. If you're looking for the faction with the dirtiest kink, yep, there you go. Slanesh is the way to go. So if you actually look at them, yeah, it's one of those kind of things. You if you look up like if you look up pictures of like Slanesh followers, you get lots of BDSM vibes from them. Zalanch? Who's Zalanch? Who's Zalanch, dude? You talking about Zinch? If you're gonna spell his name, or Slanesh. Slanesh. Not Zalanch, Slanesh. Here you go. Slanesh. So backstory on Slanesh, right? You see, it all starts with the Space Elves, otherwise known as the Eldar. You see, the Eldar, at the peak of their civilization, basically achieved everything that like they could possibly do. They have the farming, they have everything, you know? It's like they have no problems, right? And that's the thing. If you have no problems, that means you don't do anything. There's hardly any work. There's hardly any issues to like find solutions to because your all your problems are solved. So what do you do for fun at that point? So they started pushing the limits of what is fun. What started as the arts, you know, all the entertainment you could possibly find, plays, and so on and so on. It slowly became more deranged. So art murder became an art form. It's a good way to entertain. Torture became an art form. And soon their debauchery reached to its peak to the point that all the things that they did collectively made a psychic impact and basically created a new chaos god on the spot. And that is how Slanesh is born. And in a fit of karmic justice, when Slanesh was born, she was born hungry. And what did she eat? All the space elf souls. So any elves that were not out in space, or hiding away somewhere in the deeper galaxies, all that, yep, basically died. So nearly 90% of the space elf race, sorry, the Eldar race kind of wiped out. So those were left behind either try to find a way to survive through different means, or one other way to stave off Slanesh from eating you is by indulging in debauchery. So the elves split into two factions. One is the Eldars, who basically did not want to do the debauchery thing and basically found an alternate our current went for alternative ways. No, she just straight up ate their souls. Just soul suck. She just did the big suck. And then they're dead. Bye bye. So long. Farewell. I hope to say goodbye. Like, and I mean that by the literal sense, because like she literally just sucked up all the souls of any nearby space elves. GG's Nori. And she got almost all of them. So okay. So how long did it take since we started the stream? About an hour to get them all to that state. Maybe just a few adjustments here and there. Then maybe we can move on to the next step. All right. Which is painting the armor. Or maybe I want to start. Where do I want to start actually? I feel like I should start painting the armor, honestly. The armor is the best place. Okay, I'm gonna grab a picture really quick. We're gonna put it on we're gonna put it on the corner of our screen because that's gonna be our reference for everybody and myself. So let me open up a picture. Okay, put that there. Um, Game Studio. No, no, no. Painting studio. Add image. Okay. Browse. That one open. Okay. This will be our reference. Let us put it maybe right there on that corner right there. Um, in a scale to 1 to 10, how visible is that? Is that decent enough, or should I make it smaller or bigger? I don't know if you can even see it. Should be there. Because that's our reference. Can't make out the writing. Do you actually want to see what we're looking at the color palette? But all right, let's. I can't really show the writing much. Whoa, okay. Because it's gonna be blocking for the most part. So, all right. So we're just gonna make it that small because we just want it as our reference point anytime. Okay. Yep. 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 All right. I want to also open it so I can just put it on the corner of my screen as well. There we go. Put that down. Move chat to maybe here. Okay. Okay, so one thing's for sure, there are certain things I will apply. There are some that I won't. I will apply, of course, the armor. The cloth, though, because it's old graphics, it's back from 2010. I checked the actual color palette. The inner part of the cloth is actually red, while the outer is black. So I will need to do an off black at some point. So it's not because you can't use complete black because as we've seen, complete black does not work. So in order to make that visible, we have to use an off black and off white. So the armor that you see there is not actually pure white. It's actually a mix of possibly like bone white or some other colors. Because we also gotta factor in weathering. So speaking of weathering, I need to bust out my super secret tool if I can find it. Hope I did not like drop it anywhere. Here. This little doodad is a makeup sponge, purchasable at your local stores. This little guy, despite its size and its shape, is going to do a lot of work for us in terms of color. So to start off, I want to start with a darker color. Right. You also need to bust out the brushes. Zoom out for a bit. I'm gonna move all these arts and crafts materials first. Okay. So I can put the brushes here. the water bucket over here. Now, I think I want to start with the less complicated ones. So I want to start putting them on holders. Okay. So I guess we'll start with the leader. Now, all right. Color mixing. Would go for this. And then we go for this. And then we go straight white for the details. Okay. Or for the highlights. But let me check if we have something. Nope, not gray brown. What's this? This is bronze. Okay. Oh, this one we can use later. That will be our thing later. We got green. Don't need green. There's no green. Um, actually, another thing I want to look up really quick is Order of the Sacred Rose. So the Order of the Sacred Rose is the faction that we're painting them as. That's the one that's on display right now. Colors. Images. There we go. That's better. Okay. Yeah, so they went for silver. Gotcha. Gold, silver with red lenses on the helmets. Black on the black on the cloth on the outside. Outer layer, inner layer is red. Okay. And then silver decorations. Gotcha. All right. So they went for a bluish white, actually. Interesting. One person did at least. Actually, a lot of people are going for the bluish white. Oh no, there are some bone white colors. Okay, cool, 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 cool. All right, I'm gonna go for that. I want to go for bone white. So I think these three colors will be perfect. But it's my first time seeing layer. So I think I'll start with maybe I'll try this. Let's see what it does. I've never seen layered paint before, but I'm about to find out what it does. Now is a good time to experiment and try out this paint. I actually won this paint in one of my previous tournaments. Interesting enough, it actually has. Oh, it's quite thin. Interesting. So where would I apply this? This paint is not meant to be used as a base layer, maybe. But when I mean that, it's not supposed to be like the thick of it, in the thick of the model. Okay, so what we'll do. So let me teach you guys a little trick, right? So when you're experimenting with models and stuff, what you want to do is you take a clean brush and you dip it in water, right? Just soak it in water. And then if you're, let's say you make a mistake while you're painting and you want to correct it. So let's say we do that, right? You take your clean brush and you simply wash that away with water. Then you dry the brush and take out the excess water. That way, you don't ruin your model in case you messed up your paint job. And so I think we will forego from using this color because it is not the color I want. Instead, I'm going to go for ivory and maybe mix a little bit of that gray brown I saw earlier. You gotta shake it good. You gotta make sure that like some of these colors they don't mix well, so you gotta really get to mix. You gotta remember that these are water-based acrylics, so they gotta mix properly. So a lot of this is mostly like trial and error, and it's like, uh-oh, hold on, we have a Houston, we have a problem. All right, it seems that the exit tube is blocked. I'm gonna take a little bit of a drill bit here. There we go. Easy. Problem solved. Now, do a bit of mixing. Take the makeup sponge. And we take artist subject. So same rules apply with the dry brush earlier. We don't want to use too much paint, just enough. Just get that on there. So we won't be able to get everything, but that's okay. I don't mean to hit everything, so I think we can just the sponge can't reach in certain places. That's okay. Doesn't have to. Wait, one thing I also want to check. Okay, so they do keep the visors white. Okay. Actually, I don't know if anyone has watched that one Warhammer animation called The Tides. Uh, there is a Sister of Battle in one of those episodes. In fact, there's even more. There's a new one. There's a new animation. I just forget what it's called. It's in Warhammer Plus right now. Just don't remember the name off the tip of my tongue. Features Sisters of Battle, and it is the ones in white armor as well, I believe. Although the ending's kind of sad. I mean, the ending of the Tide series is also just as sad. Not gonna lie. So you won't really start to see the effect right now. Hold on. Let me bring this down. So the armor is just barely started to show up, but we'll slowly get there. You won't see the effect until later. Now that this one is done, we gotta do the other one. Where did that other one go? Wait a minute. Am I blind? What? Where? There was two of these. I was holding two of them. Found it. I'm being a goofball. Like in the internet, right? It's so interesting to get into the like painting side of the hobby because you just find these videos that just teach you like, you're too lazy to do this. You're on a budget and stuff. Okay, you can try these techniques instead. So you don't have to stress over like your budget and all. Don't have an airbrush? Don't worry. Makeup sponge. you can get similar effects, if not the same. So just to show you guys the difference, I don't know if there's even a difference. It's very slight though. You won't see it until like the rest of the armor has been painted and the cloth has been painted properly too. Now I think I'm gonna need to mix again because we have run out. I need more parts brown. Try this. In fact, I might go for a darker brown if this doesn't push out as much as I want it to. Understand I am trying to achieve a color that is close to white, but not exactly white. It's okay if I get paint on the other places because after all, I'll be coloring over those areas soon enough. So it doesn't matter much to me. I'm just getting into these parts where my sponge cannot reach. Because the last thing I want is to damage the model. Applying gentle strokes. Oh, sorry, Kadu. Give me a moment. Completely forgot. Already switching to category. We were doing some Forever Winter. The problem was that there was a blackout, unfortunately. So we immediately switched to painting just in case like something happened again. Should be good though. But how's your evening though, Kadu? Or your morning rather? Could be morning, could be evening for you. I forget. Right. I see. Yeah, I feel that, dude. I mean, I live in the tropics, so it tends to get pretty hot out here sometimes. We were expecting a drought. It never came. Instead, we got storms. In fact, we got a storm that's coming. So we're like 6, 7. Worst storm. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Kadu. I'll never, I promise you, I will never do it again. I'll do that only once in my whole lifetime. No, I did see you play Forever Winter earlier. Did you get into anything? I was supposed to get into something until the power decided, nope, we're gonna get going. Bye bye. No power for you. Haha. Good luck with your painting stream. When there's no power, you got no lights. Haha. Sucks to be you. You're now listening to some Dark Tide music. So Dark Tide, if you don't already know, is a first-person shooter. Oh, nice. But yeah, they're Ruskin chips, dude. I feel that, bro. I wish there was like a. I wanna have to research on that myself because I haven't like seen Euruskin chip drops were already pretty low before, but I've never seen them so this low before. I mean, I know they reduced the drop chance, but man, it's so ridiculous how low they made it. What one thing is that? What is the one thing that you need? All right, back to what I was saying before I get back to Kadu's status update on his runs in Forever Winter. So as I was saying, Dark Tide is a first-person horde shooter where you play the role of guardsman or select different people with different specializations and abilities. Basically, you play basic humans. You're not like in Space Marine where you're the big superhuman. You're just the ordinary guys. Well, of course, there's the Ogrin, and now they're adding the Adeptus Mechanicus. But more or less, most of the units that you or the classes that you can play as are human classes. If you're playing the regular old people, fighting hordes of Nurgle cultists. Ah, the rotary hammer. That's right. I was supposed to actually drop one for you, but I need rotary hammers for myself because it's for the last upgrade for the bar. Almost there though. Almost there. I need to find some hard to find items myself if I want to complete the bar. I wonder if the I wonder if the recipes are random for each person in each of their like runs and stuff. Just kind of curious. This one is done. This one is done already. Actually, wait, is it? Doesn't seem like it because it's a bit too bright. It's fine. Let's do the sensor next. So this unit is also an interesting unit. She is the incident sensor. Now, I don't mean censor like censor language or censor memes, whatever. When I say censor, we're talking about incense. Basically, she carries this relic that holds a whole lot of weed. I know I'm just butchering that for a lot of 40K fans that are just like, no, how could you say that it's not weed, it's holy incense. Well, that's way to me. Because what it does. So basically, her ability is that she spreads the smoke around the incense all over the battlefield slowly. It starts from 2 inches. And anybody who is near her or gets too close to her, they basically get stoned, which means they get less on their hit stat. That means they're less accurate, and they get a debuff on their movement, so they move an inch less. So if you understand what that means, they get stoned. They literally just get stoned. Okay. I really don't know how to tell you this, man, but she's stoned. Stoned out of her goddamn mind. Hmm. It's definitely a good time for me because that means they won't be hitting me when they take pot shots at me, or whenever they charge at me and they try to hit me with in melee. So I'll be definitely be having a good time. We need to mix again. Excuse me. Hey Shang, sorry for the late response. We are currently working on getting these models painted up. We are slowly working our way through the layers of paint that we gotta do. So right now I'm currently applying a darker tone as we progress towards the next color that we need to go for, which is the ivory white, before we finally get to the titanium white that we need. So I'm carefully just applying our darker layer. I will give you a showcase of the models in progress in just a moment. I don't know if they added a Sister of Battle in Dark Tide, actually. I don't think they did. I don't think they ever will. I don't, but then again, the Sister of Battle would fit perfectly in that game, actually. But we are getting Adeptus Mechanicus instead. So, yeah, a lot of people will not know what I'm talking about unless you're into Warhammer 40k games and lore. Got spooked there for a second. Thought I catapulted the model off the base. I'm glad that super glue is working, because I did use super glue this time around to make sure. Because I usually use the cement to keep the model on the base, but I learned my lesson from my one of my other models that I'm better off just using super glue when it comes to keeping the model in the on the base. Oh my gosh, it's almost 10 o'clock already. Time flies, man. Time flies. We'll try and get a lot of progress done because I want to at least be done with this first set of colors we gotta do. I mean, we are doing like 10 models all at once, so I did not expect it to be so quick. So this might take several sessions depending on how well we can do the paint job and how good we want the paint job. But I think I've shaved off at least another few hours, like overall. Because if this was done manually, this would have taken way longer. Okay, so a bit of progress report. Let's have a look at some of the models after the paint has dried. Right now it's very sloppy, quite messy, but definitely see the difference in tone slowly coming together. Let's do a zoom in instead. There we go. Much better. So right now it seems a little sloppy and all that, which is actually intentional because we're trying to go for that weathered and green weathered look, weathered and damaged look for the most part. Like they've seen some battles and stuff. But once we get into the finer details, we'll be able to like really express. So you'll also notice that like some areas are not being hit and everything. Like right there. That's because the sponge couldn't reach it. We might have to make adjustments for that. Ooh, not to mention right over here. The breastplate was not hit. So we gotta actually go in with a brush. So for the most part, I won't be going back to those areas again at some point because they're hidden beneath the shadow of the sensor. So at the very least, I wanted it colored just a bit, the dark colors. Oh, focus, focus. And then once we hitting it with the brighter colors, those will be much more expressed down the line. So with the camera and everything, helps me spot certain areas that I would like to just paint up a bit more. In case the sponge didn't do a good job. What I can do is we take the sponge and we just dab it a bit. And it's kind of smoothens out just a tad bit. There we go. Okay. So next, let's go to the next color. Zoom out. Now I want to go for the ivory white. All right. Squanch, welcome to the stream, man. We are going good. We're slowly progressing, but we're currently on like the base armor paint at the moment. So we are still gonna be working on the cloth, which is going to be black and red in the inside. So that's gonna be slow going for the meantime. But we're getting there. Slowly getting there. What's up, Czar? Welcome, welcome, everyone. Sorry if I'm not interacting as quickly or as like reactively as I normally would. Right now, I am every time I go into painting mode, I just get into the zone, you know? So sometimes my attention is somewhat divided. I'm not actually going for gold trim because if you look at the picture, a lot of it is silver trim. The one that's the gold trim is going to be probably some of the decoration, like the inquisitorial symbol here on the shoulder pad. That's probably going to be gold, but otherwise it's going to be mostly silver. Yeah, I checked up like their paint scheme beforehand, and they mostly have silver trim for the Sisters of the Order of the Sacred Rose. So right now I'm just building up the layers. Then right, once we got the layers done, then we can slowly progress to the details. But right now we're going to be focusing on the base colors, which are bone white for the armor, or at least something a little off white. And then we'll slowly work our way to the black, then the silver, and then the gold for a lot of the other pieces of armor. Yeah, patch painting is pretty rough most of the time. Unless you got like airbrush and all those other tools. Personally, I don't. I recently got a box from Conquest. I don't know if you know that franchise, but I got a box from that. It had 81 models of it. I haven't started painting it yet, but I already feel so like overwhelmed that I haven't even finished assembling all of the models yet. I still have like 32 models to assemble off that box. So it's kind of rough. I kind of overestimated or underestimated the scale of how much 81 models can do to a man. But if my efforts are inspiring you to finish your own box sets, then I'm also happy for you if you're gonna be working on your own models. Just double checking this one because I think could do a bit more. Next. Now the next step now in our painting process, we're gonna go for our titanium white. Yes. Alright. Make sure the paint is all well mixed inside. jeez. Oh, that scared me. Thanks for the follow, Big Paper. Just realized that a whole bunch of people also followed me when I wasn't looking. Midori, yeah, Spectre, thank you so much for the follows. Oh, jeez, it's almost 11 o'clock. I better wrap this up soon. All right, I'm gonna have to stop there. It's already getting late, and I need to go to bed. I still got work tomorrow. So, to everyone who has stuck around, appreciate you all. But my time is up, and I hope to see you on the next session. Excuse me. I'll try to. Yeah, I know. We won't see like the bigger details once until all the base colors been set. But I still have up. I still have work in the morning. I still need to get up pretty early in the morning as well to do some morning routines and stuff. So we will be on break for tonight. So to all of you in YouTube, thank you for sticking around. I will try to change up the title and all the edit all the other stuff off stream maybe. But for till then, all you YouTube people, if you've enjoyed the video, you've enjoyed the VOD, hit that like button. And if you want to see more, hit the subscribe. And for those of you on Twitch, hit that follow to catch the next session when we keep going at it and we try to make more progress on the models. And I hope to see you then. Till then, this is Magus signing off.